Welcome back to the Boomerang Podcast. I'm Matt, and today we have a very special guest, Mr. Joe Oltmann from Conservative Daily. How you doing, Joe?
Good. How are you?
Good. I got my good buddy here, Bill. Bill's
Hey, Bill.
Joe.
How you doing, Joe?
And we just wanted to kind of, you're doing so much work on the front lines. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've been watching some of your stuff lately, and it's crazy. I mean, my first question to you is, what the hell's going on with Tina Peters?
Her trial starts on February 9th. And so up until that time, I've just been doing everything I can in order to gather as much data as possible so that when she shows up to court on the 9th, regardless of what they try to put on, that we have enough corroborating evidence that on cross we can put that in. So I just finished a deal with Ed Sullivan proving out the fraud in Colorado related to the 2020 and 2022 election that is indisputable. We had him on Thursday, I believe, and walk through all of it. And so I'm a very methodical, believe that justice is best served cold, but we have a real problem in Colorado, and Tina uncovered a lot of the fraud that exists across the country in just her little area. And now we know how the sausage is made.
She's along the list of a bunch of other people, like Chris Jersky, that just, these people that just happened to stumble upon the information and came out with it. But man, they really targeted Tina. And I mean, what she's facing now, what she had to go through with her husband, where they went after her husband and I do believe put him in a home somehow, finagled it to where you might even have more information on this. But
it's worse than that. It's worse than that. They were married over 35 years, and they went to him. He had dementia. They went to him, had him sign a divorce agreement. So you had the town that got involved. You got Mesa that got involved in their marriage, went in there, got him to sign a divorce decree, then took him out of the home that he was in that was here, sent him to a home in a different state. And at that state, they loaded him up on all sorts of drugs. I have the before and after videos, and they murdered him.
They killed her husband. And all to get at her and to punish her for what she discovered. And of course, anybody that really doesn't know, all she got was a digital footprint, right, of the voter rolls before they were able to be changed by the Dominion people, right?
That was her job.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. She called everyone first. She made the calls and started asking questions, and they told her, stop asking questions. And when they started answering in a way that was not making her comfortable, and then they said, we have this trusted build, then she went into covert mode. She goes, listen, I need to, and because of my constituents, they elected me. My job is to make sure we have safe, fair elections. So she did what any normal agency would do. And she has that right in order to dig in to figure out whether or not there was a crime committed against her constituents. Was their voice actually stolen? And so she did go covertly in there. She did make a copy of the machines, but then to make matters worse, they didn't charge her with that. They charged her with influencing a public official, making it nearly impossible to bring this information for the theft into the actual case. They're really smart, and they have a really corrupt judge there, and they got a DA that's absolutely awful. So at the end of the day, now we're just trapping them in this place where they don't have much of a choice. They're going to eventually, that information is going to make it in because she had a right to protect her constituents. And she did basically what you do if you were doing a covert operation, if you were the FBI or the police. She did the same thing.
Be receiving whistleblower status.
Yes.
We're supposed to protect our whistleblowers, not go after them with the long arm of the law.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got guys like Matt, what is his name? Matt Crane, who's the head of the Colorado County Clerks and Recorders Association for Colorado. And this guy's a piece of trash. He will walk past the fraud. And, I put something out on social media attacking him. And so he started picking up the phone and calling people and sending them text messages and standing up for the Eric Coomer guy, which is how I got involved in this to begin with. A guy that is a known drug addict, has a Church of Satan's tattoo artist tattoo on his arm, wrote a story about how he raped his wife and made her bark like a dog and then published it. I mean, and I hate police. I hate Trump. I hate the USA. Posted the Antifa manifesto, but he's not Antifa. Lied several times throughout this entire deal. And somewhere along the line, he wants to defend that guy. And I don't see it. And he's a Republican. I mean, with Republicans like him, and Jeff DeWitt, man, we really don't need anybody on our side, do we?
Well, rhinos, they're all rhinos. I mean, you mentioned Jeff DeWitt, and it's funny because I'm actually here. We met because of our election integrity conferences that we went to and attended with Juan in Orlando and West Palm Beach. And of course, we've been to the Clay Aiken Reawaken tours and, the Trump rallies all in Doral and Hialeah. So, we kind of ingested ourselves with this so much information that it's almost like God's pulling us different places now, because here we find ourselves in Arizona, just actually for Matt's birthday. Only reason we came out was for his birthday. And then we find out, one of the biggest culminations of the convoy, takeourborderback.com, of course, is culminating right here in Yuma. So it's going to be historic, and I can't wait to participate. And I obviously the word's getting out. They've already got 20 miles at Texas Eagle Pass.
We're going down next Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be there next Friday. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be battle armored up and ready to go. And I'm kind of like public enemy number one to the radical left, so I got to make sure I keep my head on a swivel. But I'll be down there. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with my brothers and sisters down there.
And then local stuff, how about Michelle Swinick? Are you familiar with her battle here in Arizona?
She's in Arizona. She's in Phoenix.
She is quite awesome. She's going to come on the podcast as well with Matt. But yeah, I ended up running into her, or found her stuff through another friend, and it's amazing how the circles are working now. The circles are getting bigger but tighter. All the information, I mean, the massive amount of information that's coming out between the Latter-day Saints, the churches, and how they're orchestrating and influencing votes in the voter rolls. And, it's amazing information.
Do you think Jeff DeWitt is the tip of the iceberg?
No, I think he's a bag man.
Well, it's funny, like we actually talked to his assistant because we wanted to go to the Trump rally. So after we had Matt's birthday, the Trump rally, we're like, all right, we'll stay around for a few more days. And then we go to get tickets and they're $75. And every other Trump rally we've been to, like Hialeah, they were all free. You just had to, sign up online. I guess we get verified. And then we're like, man, that's a bummer. And then, but Boomerang's like, well, hey, we'll sponsor it. So I ended up calling Jeff DeWitt's office. And she was a little snooty. She goes, well, as far as sponsorship, we have tickets that are like from inexpensive, I guess you'd consider $75 inexpensive now, considering everybody's struggling, to more expensive. And, I was like, how much is more expensive? She mentions $3,000. I was like, well, I said, they might be interested. She goes, well, let me know if they're interested. Otherwise, I'm not going to waste Jeff's time. And then a day later, that video comes out. So I almost wanted to call her back up and ask her how much the tickets were now, but
Well, did you obviously you guys watched the video, right? You watched the video or watched the recording?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
actually post it. We can post it to ours too, so people can get a grasp of it in case they didn't catch it on Conservative Daily.
Yeah, I watched your breakdown of it, but go ahead.
It is, and I guess that's the issue is that if you look at it, it wasn't just him bribing her. It was him threatening her. The cartels are in all 50 states. I can't say anything. If I do, I'm gonna put my hand in and I'll turn the key and then boom, the car's going to go boom. He was passively threatening her the entire time that he was sitting in. And I don't believe that she knew the gravity of what was being said because he said it with such, flippant demeanor. But the reality of it is that is how the sausage is made. That is what our entire system is. He also admitted on there that the elections were stolen. These people know that they're stolen. They're just liars. They're professional liars. And we are at that place now where we have judges that are total trash. Our entire system is rotted to its core. And our judiciary is the most dangerous because the people that are there are put in that position of power to do the biddings of Jeff DeWitt's boss. And let's just call him boss, because the only reason he got in that position is because he was willing to do what he did with Kari Lake. Tell her to step out, I'll give you $30-40 million. And imagine what they said. Step out for 2 years, we'll give you $30-40 million. Imagine what that means is going to happen over the next 2 years. That means they think where they can finish it in the next 2 years. They can finish this country in the next few years.
And I think that was the plan all along.
how do you root these people out? How do you even get these people out? I've asked that question to a bunch of people, but it's like you have no judicial system, so it's not like you can take them to court.
Well, I think, and this is why they hate me, because I talk about the force of the people. The prescription has always been the people. If you look through history, you go all the way back in time, the fall of Rome actually happened because of the prescription of the people. The people stood up, wanted to break down the apparatuses of government that were so rotted to the core that it was leading to death and destruction. Well, if you look at the intelligence communities that we have right here in the United States, they have literally killed more people in the last 3 decades than ever died in World War II. Now, imagine what I just said. I mean, they have led more wars, they have destroyed more economies, they have dethroned more people and killed innocent lives in the last 3-4 decades than ever died in World War II. Well, how many people died in World War II? 58 million, 60 million?
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that the US apparatus of intelligence has killed more people than 60 million people. Now imagine how much vitriol and hate exists around the world because we're just, we're the ones that are saying that we're the ultimate authority because we dropped a couple bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? I mean, that really is what it comes down to, is we've proven ourselves to be very, very, very vicious at the top. I mean, we're very giving people as a society, but that's the type of leadership that we have, the Rothschilds and the George Soros and these guys. And frankly, the only way that we get past all that, they got to go.
Yeah, I mean, how do you, and I don't, Wayne, but how do you, like, what's your opinion on a 2024 election? Do we even have an election? I don't see any election happening. How could we? It's rigged.
Well, I mean, I work really hard on getting rid of the machines and the mail-in ballots. I'm putting an immense amount of pressure on it, and I'm meeting with the Democrat side, the people. Come on, I played football on Saturdays. I'm an athlete that got involved in business. I'm a 2-time Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year finalist. I have 2 tech companies, 240 employees. I own gun stores, ranges, a bunch of other stuff, like a bunch of different business. I'm like the Forrest Gump of business. So when I started Conservative Daily Podcast, it wasn't because I needed something more to do. It's because I felt that the ethos, the heart of who we are as people had been lost. As men, we're just walking around this empty shell that is not standing up with courage for our family and for our community, right? That's the only reason I got involved. And so, frankly, I'm ready for the fight, but we're going to have to get to the place where we have a fight, and that's what's happening right now.
And
right?
Joe, you're ready for the fight, brother, and you're one of the few men that are. I'm telling you, I'm seeing a disconnect with the men because I'm around about 5 divorcees right now that are literally getting divorced because their husbands thought they were crazy. Now, it's a little bit of cognitive dissonance, but you got veterans that took an oath that are just not looking at this information, not discerning it. And it's scary on a level because, to call your wife that you've been with for 20 years crazy. I mean, think about it. And all she did was go down a bunch of rabbit holes that my wife and not myself went down together, unfortunately. So
let's talk about that. I mean, the part of that's their fault, right? I mean, part of that is you got to be the man of the house. You got to act like a man. So now you want to say that she's crazy. She didn't just become crazy overnight. She did her homework. She started researching, looking into things. But they thought it was more important to go to work. They thought that their job, their responsibility was to bring home the bacon. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to shape the direction of your family, including your wife, which means when your wife digs into stuff, you have to pay attention to it. And so these men, the only reason that they're not men, the only reason that they're not seeing it, they're not diving into it, they're going through this, is because they disconnected from the responsibility they had as men, right? And frankly, there's some redemption that can come from that if you could just get them to have the conversation. Say, listen, you think that they're crazy, but you got to hold them responsible as well. And more often than not, it's guys like us that don't tell them, well, actually, your wife's not crazy at all. She sees things through a different lens because she's willing to take off the glasses. She doesn't have beer goggles on. She's not looking at it from the perspective of how do I get to watch football on Saturday?
How do I blackpilled in all this? A lot of people got red pilled, right, early. And then maybe it played on and they listened to false whatever. They didn't really look at the whole picture of everything that had to occur in the totality. And they got blackpilled. that's actually the one that we're hanging out with right now. Her husband is Blackpilled. And I gave him a little bit of a more of a red pill, just like you were talking about. Hearing it from another person, another voice besides their wife, is like, bro, she's not crazy. You know, just that little bit of a seed that you plant, and hopefully it helps. But guys really got to do a little better.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't, look, my wife and I have been married for 22 years, right? My ex-wife, I'm still friends with my girlfriend at 11 years old, right? I mean, I tend to hold on to relationships. I have an ex-wife, we're still friends. I have two beautiful kids, right? And but my wife, you know, you have to be willing to be the head of the household, and she'll follow you. She was not into any of this. She's like, listen, you fight differently than I do. My job is to make sure certain things are in place, and she'll listen to me and go through this process. But you have to be, and on the woman's side, you got to be willing to include them patiently in the process, right? Because look, it's easy to be on the outside and to not want to deal with it. Because how many times have you wanted to go home and be like, I'm done? I mean, honestly.
I'll have to. I have to detach from this every once in a while and just, you know what I mean? There's so much. There's so much. So
maybe we could entitle this episode Marriage Advice from Joe Oltmann.
Hey, listen, I haven't figured it all out. I mean, I have the before Jesus and after Jesus, right? I mean, I have the things in my life that have caused me a lot of pain. I've caused people in my life pain, including my wife, right? So, and I'll tell you, my brother, when he died of, he got killed by a police officer in 2017. I had a year and a half of darkness in my life, and my brother was my best friend. That picture right on the wall over there, that's my brother, right? I love my brother. I'm one of 8. I grew up super poor. My dad's black, my mom's white, my whole family's interracial. I grew up in the hood. I grew up fighting. I love to fight, right? This is another, but it was bad, and I did not honor my wife, and it was a tough road back of just, asking for forgiveness. And I just remember waking up one day and saying that, I have to own who I am, and if loyalty is important to me, I gotta first be loyal to my wife, regardless of the consequences.
Well, if anything about this movement, it's bringing people closer to God.
Yeah.
They're discovering that everything about that book is true, and we're watching God's plan play out in front of our eyes for, I think, this is going to be the promised land. I think the Americas, if we were to have failed, the rest of the world would have gone along with it. We're the only constitutional republic that had a document that could have done what we're doing.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you feel about this though? I mean, God is sovereign. He'll give you the tools, and he'll give you the pathway, and he'll give you the discernment and he'll talk to your soul, right? I mean, I've never had a burning bush moment, but James 2:26 says faith without works is dead. I mean, so are we going to get to that place where we recognize that, we have to honor and be true to the commitment that came before us? I mean, you have the Battle of Normandy. You had these 18 to 25-year-old men that ran towards the bullet fire and died, never to be fathers, never to see their grandkids, never to have some of the things that we have. And that was a sacrifice for our freedom, a sacrifice for what was supposed to be the goodness of society. And so are we willing to throw that away and piss on the grave or spit on the grave of those men that died on that hill? Or are we willing to stand up and maybe we get hurt, maybe we lose our life, but we were never going to make it out of this life alive anyway. And if life is a test, then shouldn't we try to win it? Shouldn't we try to honor God in it?
Armor of God, sir. Put it on every day. Amen.
Yeah.
What are you working on, Joe? What are we going to see from you in the next weeks and months?
Well, I'm working on a couple things to push out on this thing called the Gideon Project. And the Gideon Project is really simple. It's 300 to 500 people in every community across the entire country. David and I are traveling around the country. We're doing showings of Let My People Go, which has been interesting by itself because Con Inc. hates that documentary. That documentary literally tells you how the fraud exists, where it exists, and it's so simple, even a crayon eater can actually understand it, right? So we're traveling around with that, but the end of it is how do we put on that full armor of God? How do we do God's work? How do we honor God in what we do, right? And just realize that there are consequences. There are sacrifices to be made. And so the Gideon Project is is adopting an ethos as men, right? What they do to you, they do to me, right? What they do to one of us, they do to all of us. And right now, it's institutional slavery. They are intentionally dishonest about what is happening. They are stealing elections. We know they are. We've proven it over and over and over again. Conversation's over. I don't want to hear it. Right now, it is, can I get 300 to 500 men per community to go in and tell them, no, you will do this or you will be evicted? Can I get 300 to 500 men to show up to Tina Peters' trial and stand in there and be rowdy? And when they say get out, say, no, we're not leaving. Now the judge can leave. The DA can leave. And then be willing to stand strong in the idea that, hey, you might go to jail. You might. But civil disobedience to a place where it's righteous indignation. See, right now, Antifa does it because they're just a bunch of evil crap bags. But on our side, we have righteousness on our side, right? We just have to have faith, and we have to be willing to make those sacrifices for people that, frankly, would never do it for us. And if we did that.
I mean, honestly, man, I mean, I don't know how many people can say that they've actually taken a ticket for violation of executive order and insert the number that Jimenez created back in, COVID, back in 2020. I stood up. I said, look, you can't tell me I can't anchor here. You can't tell me I can't go to this island. And man, I got video because we had to document it all, make sure nothing bad happened. But going up against these cops, man, I'm telling you, it's nerve-wracking. It is stressful, but we did it every time. And, I took a ticket. It's my badge of honor now, was that ticket for violation of executive order. But they stopped messing with us. They took 2 tickets and they stopped messing with us at the island. They stopped coming around. They still messed with some other people, kicked them out of wherever, but they stopped messing with our area at least. And all it took was one person to stand up out of 2.8 million.
You ready for this? I started the reopen movement, right? Reopen Colorado, reopen California, reopen Michigan. You know who started all that?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I did.
Wow.
It spread like wildfire. And we had 25,000 people within a couple of days. I'm a data guy, right? So, and then we went down to the Capitol with 3,000 people. And frankly, I was going to sell my company for $250 million. I didn't need to be involved in any of this. None of this stuff affects me. I can just go drink Mai Tais on a beach. But I kept looking at my children and go, I want them to have something better. I don't need money. I need to know that I'm leaving behind a legacy that means something.
Money is dead, right?
Yeah.
Money is dead. The constitutional republic that we thought we knew ceased to exist in 1871. None of us knowing that. And my parents didn't know that. Their parents' parents didn't know that. The only one of our generation to figure that stuff out is our generation right now, right here. It's crazy.
So they tried to come into the gun store and range and shut us down for COVID. They said, you guys need to wear a mask. I was like, yeah, I'm not wearing a mask. Nobody in here is wearing a mask. Get out. They're like, well, we'll fine you $15,000 a day. I was like, I don't care. I don't give a shit what you tell me. Sorry if I cuss. Apologies.
Perfect. No, please.
What you think you're going to charge me right now, I'm telling you to get out, or I'm going to physically remove you. And she was with the health, the Tri-County Health. Not only, and then she said, well, I'm going to go talk to the police. And I was like, well, okay, they're going to shut you down. I was like, let me just tell you something. I was like, you can call the National Guard, but I promise you, we got better guns. So go, get out. Right. And not only did the sheriff call me and said, hey, Joe, will you at least put up this sign on the door? I was like, nope, sure won't. I won't do that. Joe, will you at least make the people wear masks when they're dealing with customers? Nope, not doing that either. And I go, look, we're the only business that is enumerated in the Constitution. It comes right after my ability to speak is a Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. The answer is no. I'm going to arm everybody that walks in these doors. I'm going to make sure I take care of them. And frankly, if they want us to wear a mask because they feel more comfortable with masks, then my guys will respect them. But he goes, oh, that's all I need to hear. Okay. So if somebody asked you to wear a mask, I was like, if somebody is scared, truly scared, and they're buying a gun, but we maybe had one person that did that. But we also got Tri-County Health kicked out of Douglas County completely. They got fired because of us.
That's amazing.
Brother, you're working miracles, man. One bit at a time. And I mean, it's crazy, like watching the Miami. I don't know if you follow this guy named Billy Corbin, but he's a never Trumper. And he's on Instagram, but he has been roasting the Miami City Council. I mean, we got Francis Suarez, Mr. Jeffrey Epstein's list himself, still sitting as mayor. And, you got to roll the R, but Corora, Joe, who just got fined $63 million that he tried to scheme out of the taxpayers. And then city attorney literally has gotten caught in a home flipping scam. I mean, with her husband. So much stuff, and it's imploding everywhere. It's imploding in Arizona with the city councils here. It's imploding in Miami. It's probably imploding everywhere. But it's with the people, the small people standing up and making a difference. And we have a homeless lady that's one of our really good friends that we met from Doral, Miami. And she has been making a difference because she's been going to all these meetings and speaking up about the corruption, about the pay for play, about the nonprofit organizations that get, money laundering. She just sees it. She sees it's a big money laundering scheme with all the little townships. So it's really nuts to watch. But we can all make a difference. The homeless chick did, right?
Well, all we have to do, by the way, this is going to sound as silly is. Stand up together. That's it. Stand with the people or stand with the tyrants. And a police officer that says, look, I don't back the blue. I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't back the blue. I back police officers that do the right thing. Gotcha. But you see back the blue and the guy over here, I'm trying to reason with a cop that says I'm just doing my job. So you're willing to stand against your brothers and sisters? I mean, that's what we are. We're brothers and sisters. You're willing to stand against them because they're going to write you a check? What are you? You're a brown shirt, right? How do you back that blue, right? So,
bro, maybe it's time to actually, because like I said, I did document all the stuff that I did, and I literally asked these guys that. They were like, "Well, we're messing with you because you're not complying." And I'm saying that's what I told them. I said, "I'm not complying because you're not giving me a lawful order. You're just asking me to comply." And I said, you guys have brown shirts for a good reason. I said, the Germans were only doing their job too. And that's what these people were doing their job.
Yeah.
Where are people, what are you and Professor Clements doing? Where can people find you over there?
Man, we're everywhere. I think that I'm headed to Michigan. I just got back from Texas, and before Texas, I was in where was I? Minnesota, and then I was in. Yeah, I don't. My schedule is crazy. It is what, the 29th, and I've been on 18 flights now so far.
Yeah, so. Now, are you heading to Tina Peters' trial for that?
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
I'm thinking about maybe we're heading up there too. Maybe we'll see.
And if I get arrested, I don't care.
Hey, I'm not scared. The bologna sandwiches suck, but and the handcuffs are really uncomfortable. Besides that, been there, done that. I got a T-shirt before.
I believe that if you are willing, you got to put your money where your mouth is. I'm going to the border because I want to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to stand with my brothers and sisters, and I want to do the right thing. I'm going to Tina Peters' deal, and I want 500 men to show up. Now, whether or not I get 500 or I got 300, I got 200, but I'm out talking to people going, listen, how do you not show up? And why is it that 80% of the people that are out there fighting are women? I mean, grow some.
Amen, sir.
Yeah.
Amen.
I'll see you at the border this weekend. And I'll try to make it for Tina. I know her whole story.
There are going to be 700,000 people down there. Watch.
It's going to be massive. I got goosebumps. It's good. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't believe I'm here for this, to experience this. It's just God's plan, sir.
Incredible.
Well, and you do have to be prepared, right? So make sure that you bring the right equipment. You have at least a stab-proof vest, because these little anti-fights are going to be down there too, right? Yeah. And they're going to be egging us on. And I just have one rule: you throw one can, and you're going to need a dentist, right?
Fortunately, this is Arizona, so it's open carry state. So.
Yeah, but you don't want to. I mean, the other part is that, look, we don't want to become the very thing we're fighting against.
Well, no, slung arms are not deadly arms, but they're still readily available.
I was talking to a friend in Chicago, and I met with one of the town council members there in Chicago, and the Black population in Chicago that are predominantly Democrat, they've had enough. I mean, they're ready to rip these illegals out of the hotels. They're ready to rip them out of the community. They're literally ready to march them across it's tense.
What have you heard, since you just mentioned them, rip them out of the hotels? I actually heard a story from a apartment manager, complex manager, that these corporations that are buying these complexes are raising rents, and if they don't get the rent from the tenant, they don't really care if they get kicked out because they got the government ready to put an immigrant in there for 3 times the amount of the rent. You heard anything about this?
Yeah, so they are doing a little bit of that and basically pushing out the American people. That's why you see rents that are so high right now, is because they're like, if they won't pay me this, I'll just have somebody come in that pays me more and they'll just ruin it, right? Frankly, everyone in the community, regardless of what side of the aisle, they're seeing it, which is good. Now we have these unlikely alliances. I used to always say, why not get the bikers out there? I mean, bikers were handling stuff before it was even a thing.
Yeah.
Right?
For security for Trump.
Yeah. So why is it, I did a rally, Mike Lindell showed up at down in Colorado Springs, and he spoke, and I looked out there and these guys came up, these like 15 guys came up on motorcycles, and they sat at the very back. There were 1,600 people there, and it was at the one of my gun stores. And Mike's on the balcony, and I look out there after he gave me the mic, and I was like, I just want to welcome my brothers that are on their motorcycles. These were 1%ers. They just showed up because they're like, we heard this is happening. Want to show up? They felt like a duck out of water until I told everyone that they had to go say hi to the bikers, and that's your brother. And they were like, this is crazy. And then they did, and it became this melding pot. It was no longer people on the outside and on the inside. It was all together.
That's a great idea. Send them to Chicago. They'll straighten things up in no time.
But same thing with the gang members. Look, I sold drugs at 16. There's a lot of good men that get caught up in the gang life because they have no opportunity. And you look at what they're
doing to make money. Yeah, exactly.
You start looking at the education standards in some of these environments, it's terrible. Yeah, I mean, sports is my way out. And so I saw these guys, and so I can go in and sit down with gang members, and they just want opportunity too. But United Airlines isn't showing up in the hood saying, hey, how many of you guys want to be pilots?
Right.
Yep.
Right. So they've never been given an opportunity, and they're being suppressed by the very people that say that white people in suburbia are the ones that are doing it to you. It's just not true. It's intentionally being dishonest.
And what do you think about possibly going to the Secretary of Elections? Now, this is, of course, countywide. Going to the Secretary of Elections, because from what I understand, they're the person in each county that have the power. They can make paper ballots, same day, hand counted, voter ID. They could make that happen. And of course, if they tell you that it's too expensive, we've all seen the data. We've all been to the election integrity conferences. We know that that's BS, that it's cheaper to do it hand count. Now, if we go to them with that information and they don't change their ways, decide to do it, and if we had a constitutionally elected sheriff, which obviously Maricopa County has a problem with the constitutionally bound sheriff, Miami-Dade, we haven't had a constitutionally bound sheriff since 1966 when he got fired because he was corrupt. So there's that. But each county can go and have that Secretary of Elections charged with dereliction of duty in violation of their oath, right?
I mean, I don't know the legal part of it, but I don't even care about the legal part of it. They're not acting legally, right? I mean, why do we sit there? Here's I mean, we'll help you work. I always say, let's work the problem, right? We got to take chess pieces off the table. I don't actually care how you take them off the table. I don't care. I don't care what the remedy is, as long as it's not violent, right? But they should literally have no peace, none. There should be no peace for these people. There should be no peace for the commissioners, no peace for their family. They should feel that the American people are speaking with a voice that needs to be represented. And right now, we don't feel like we have a voice. So what we do is we're like, we can't do this, we can't do that. What if we can't do that, I can't do that. Well, what if ourselves to death?
Right.
What if they arrest us? Well, yep. What if? And you're going, what if they
scared? People legitimately got scared. I'm not even going to say who was there, but I had a close person that was at J6, and they're still petrified. They're still petrified. And they're even scared to look at this other stuff or go to these sites that I send them just so they don't get labeled.
I mean, look, if you live your life that way, you're not living. You're just existing. You're just
Right.
waiting to die.
Right.
Just imagine how you remember Daniel Pearlman?
Yes.
You know, he's the one that the Al Qaeda knelt him down, tied his hands behind his back, and made him denounce. He was the journalist from New York, made him denounce the America. And then when he was done, they cut his head off on live TV. Right?
Yep.
Yes.
So that's living your life to exist just to die.
Right.
You put that extra breath for what reason? Like why? You want to live and have them dictate to you how they get to take your life, how they get to take opportunity from your children? No.
Getting right with God helps with that too.
Well, let me put the scenario in front of you that I put in front. Do you guys have children?
Yes, sir.
I don't. But he does.
Oh, he's got four children, but I got a bunch of real ones.
You got a daughter?
I have two daughters. They're 15 and 12.
Your face is going to change, and you're going to get angry. I mean, you give you the choice. You have two choices. You ready? Number one, they get to rape your daughter every single day. Or two, you can do something and they only rape your daughter once. Choose.
Obviously, do something.
Do something different.
So you
I
choose
saw
they can only rape her once?
No, well, I'm going to do something. And then hopefully that end of that scenario doesn't happen.
So you don't accept choice one or choice two?
Correct.
Well, only if it happens. I'll accept it if it happens and it ends up becoming a reality, but I'm still going to freaking do everything I can to defend her to begin with.
But if I told you those are your only two choices, which one would you choose? Which one would you submit to?
I want one of those to, I can't do that. I don't submit.
So you don't choose one or two.
Yes.
There's another option. There's the option that I can go get a wood chipper, and that guy that said he was going to touch my daughter even that once, he's going to go feet first through the wood chipper. Right? Now, I'm not calling for violence. What I'm saying is, why is it in certain situations that I give you two choices, you'll refuse both of them? But when we look at our country going through what it's going through right now, we don't refuse it.
Good question. They can't see them through the matrix. Too many people caught up in the matrix. Too busy on that hamster wheel, Monday through Friday, trying to put a roof over their head, food on their, and clothes on their back.
I guess what I struggle with is like, I'm just one person. So I feel like it's like, okay, what can I do? But it's kind of like to what you said. It's like, hey, I want to get 500 guys here, right? And get in this courtroom and we'll get 500 people together.
And show up at the council meetings. And just like my little homeless friend said, the trick to that is also the city advisory board committee meetings, because those are the ones that they talk about before the agenda makes it to the floor. And that's where all the little deals get made. And when you show up to those kind of things, you find out a lot more than just showing up to the city council meetings.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the only thing that we care about is life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and restoring goodness to our communities, right? You tell me what's good about you. How many people do you really think it's good to cut a little child's penis off and tell them they're now a girl, right? I mean, what, 1%? Why are we letting the 1%?
Statistics were less than 1%. So, I mean,
Right.
I mean, so we are creating an untenable situation, and we lack this thing called a voice. We're unwilling to speak, and we're unwilling to make sacrifices in order to make our voice effective. And we don't have to be violent. And the only thing that gets me to be violent is somebody being violent towards me. The second that happens,
an innocent.
Yeah.
I put on the armor of God, and that sword comes down swiftly.
Amen.
Right? But up until that point, I'm going to try and love on them and just say no. The answer is no. The power of the word no. These people are stealing from us, robbing us, raping us, making us work 6 months a year for free. I love my country. I love my countrymen. But how much more are you willing to take? Right? And it doesn't matter if you're one person.
It's
Dance always.
Yeah. It's 1775 all over again. Where would you be? Would you be sitting on the couch with your popcorn, or would you be strapping up and walking out the door?
Oh, I live my life in service of Jesus, not in service of man. But men, if we stand together, they get 500 people together. Man, go to a pub and just sit around and have fellowship and pray. I mean, look, everything is possible if you just literally do what God wants you to do. You will see people come around you in ways that you've never imagined. And I've seen it happen. But if you go out there and say, listen, we're going to pray first, and just understand we follow Jesus, but we are not Jesus, right? We are men. We're going to act like men, right? And they don't get to engage and create the engagement rules of engagement. We do. Our rules of engagement are we pray first, but we pray, stand, speak, act. Those are the 4 things in that order. Pray, stand up, speak, make sure the truth is always heard, use the power of the word no, and then we act. And if act means that we stop in defiance them from doing these things to us, and we do so with courage, but also with a deliberate nature to do good, I may lose my life. It may happen. It's okay, right? Somebody else is going to pick up that sword right after me.
And I tell you what, all of us are making sacrifices. All of us are going to have to step up. And, my kids, they're starting to see it. My kids thought we were crazy until Clay Clark's Reawaken tour in Miami or Doral, they went with us.
Yeah.
That's when they were like, oh, wow, maybe mom and dad aren't nuts and just listening to a bunch of podcasts, And
Hold on.
Pardon?
How old are your daughters?
15 and 12. But it's crazy, though. They start seeing it, too, because these little TikTok reels and all these little shorts that are coming out. And we're using their DARPA project against them because the truth is getting out faster than they can cover it up.
500 men. That's your challenge. 500 men in your community.
Absolutely. Where can people find you?
Conservative Daily Podcast. I'm pretty much everywhere. We're on a bunch of radio stations. We're on Frank's Beach twice a day. We're on Rumble, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio. We literally are everywhere. But if you look up Conservative Daily Podcast,
Apollo and David do an amazing job, by the way. So
yeah, great guys.
Great work, man.
Yeah, and we've been promoting.
Are on point.
Yeah, we've been promoting Let My People Go. So we're making sure we're getting that message out there.
Yeah, we're gonna try and move it to a free cast where you just donate if you can after you watch it. So everyone can see it. We were trying to get a little bit of funds put back in so we could travel on it, which is why we were doing it. Because it's been expensive. That documentary cost north of $500,000, and we didn't go out there and try to raise money to do it. We just did it. We said, all right, we're going to trust God, spend what we have.
They went after Dave. They took away his ability to feed his family. I mean, they crucified him at the university, and then they went after his law license. I mean, dude, talking about taking a guy at the knees. That's some dirty stuff.
He's a good man. He's a really, really good man.
Yeah, he was on our show about a week and a half ago, 2 Thursdays ago. He came on. I got a chance to speak with him, and he's doing incredible work. And so are you, man. I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time.
Just a guy with a dog.
Let us know whatever we can do. If you need any help with causes, anything that we can step up to the plate for.
And we'll see you in Huma.
We got your back, man.
We're heading down, so we'll see you.
All right, awesome. What's the story of the records?
Back here?
Yeah.
We got Michael Jackson and Elvis. It's kind of a inside joke with the 17th letter of the alphabet people.
Oh, okay. All right. Perfect.
That's just a certain lens, of a certain person. But that's Juan and Jennifer's piece right there, the Magador. Juan signed that. Got some other fun goodies in here. It's all my collectible stuff that I just designed. We're a gold shop. Midas is, we're an actual storefront.
Yeah.
James and I did was we just built a little, studio room. But, we got our vaults about 50 feet that way. And, I know he was trying to get through to you. So we'd love to have you on board if you ever want to consider that.
Yeah, I think that we're supposed to meet again next week. If I'm not mistaken, George is doing jury duty.
Oh, so okay.
So he called me this morning, said, I'm coming by tomorrow. And they called me back and said, they picked me. I'm not coming by tomorrow.
Oops.
I do want to say this. I have built some of the most amazing friendships as a result of COVID, as a result of the stealing of the election in 2020. And I wouldn't give up those friendships for the world. So it has been a blessing. These last 3 years have been difficult, but it has been a blessing in so many ways. And it's allowed me to get closer to the Lord, closer to my wife, closer to my children, and closer to my men, having that relationship with other men that maybe I just set aside, right?
You're looking at that relationship right here.
Seriously, that's all because that I didn't know Matt before this movement. I mean,
So it's bringing people together, man. It's incredible. I feel the same way. I've met some of the most incredible people I've ever met in the last, 2 years.
Yeah, it's been. I woke up this morning. I told my wife, and she goes, "Yeah, we have better people in our lives."
Yeah, that's how it works, right? Interesting.
Yep.
And the level of consciousness when you're around other people that are like-minded, it's uplifting. It's
Yeah.
just absolutely uplifting. The Reawaken tour was more like a spiritual revival than it was like some type of political rally at all.
Cool.
I agree. All right.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Joe.
you.
Absolutely. God bless you.
God bless. Thank you.
Salute.